Hey, folks, welcome to another interview. I am delighted to have Kishi Bashi here. Kishi Bashi, tell me a little bit about, I'm, like I said before we started recording here, I'm a bit of a fan, so I know a little bit about you, but for the folks at home, can you give us a little bit of your background?
I started, Suzuki violin when I was 7 in Ithaca, New York. And my parents moved to Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, and I kind of pursued classical music. Of course, I got a guitar. I'm a kid of the 90s, Gen X, so Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers,
I think
Rage
at
Against
one
the
point in
Machine.
the 90s, they just started handing out acoustic guitars to people.
I think it became like it became the Gen X flag,
Yeah,
like a guitar,
that's right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, and like flannel, But so yeah, then I got into jazz violin. Jazz violin was the thing I got into in high school.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then I went to college, not for music, for a couple of years, and then I went straight to Berklee College of Music, where I just dove in.
Awesome. So you went to college for not music initially. What did you go for? Just curious.
Yeah, electrical engineering.
Electrical engineering. Oh wow. So
Yeah,
you tried electrical engineering, decided it wasn't really for you, and then decided no, we got to do music.
actually, my grades were so bad they decided for me that I should not continue.
I see. That's too bad.
It's okay.
What was your biggest musical influence growing up?
Actually, honestly, with classical music, I love Itzhak Perlman, and
Yeah.
I love Kronos Quartet.
Yeah.
I love Kronos Quartet, like all their early albums, like the '80s.
Any
Terry,
particular composers that you really like playing?
yeah, like Terry Riley. Just listening, Terry Riley, and they had like some early music ones. Who's that? There was a South African composer. Like these are all just like early Kronos albums. Oh,
Sure.
and they had a Bill Evans album,
Really?
the music of Bill Evans. Yeah, and so that was like my kind of intro to jazz. And I was like, oh, they're playing jazz, not realizing that they're transcribing Bill Evans solos
Yeah. Oh wow.
on violin.
Holy
It was
cow.
an album with Jim Hall, I
That's
think.
interesting. So it was a Kronos Quartet album doing Bill Evans tunes?
Yeah, playing the music of Bill Evans, but it's and I was like, wow, there's some really cool things going on.
Yeah.
Thinking they were like improvising, but then they really weren't. They were just transcribing, and
Just
then
transcribing those solos, but still, I mean,
yeah,
those
but
solos
still,
are
yeah.
pretty mean.
And then I got into Stefan Grappelli. That was a
Yep.
big influence, and so that was a huge. Yeah, I got somebody gave me a CD in high school, and I just like loved it.
That's very cool. You said you started off as, a classical violinist. I assume you've played in some of those more like traditional ensembles, small ensembles, orchestra, that sort of thing. I'm kind of curious, like, what is your view on the differences there between playing in like a traditional ensemble versus something like, I don't know, touring with some of the bands that you've toured with? Like, what's that dynamic change like?
Well, first of all, there's no such thing as Boeing's in any of the bands I play in, So
Fair, yeah,
honestly, it's like classical music is amazing. Like my string. I was playing a lot of string quartets when I was in high school.
yeah,
Like we had a lot of music like Debussy and Ravel, Shostakovich. We tried to play some Bartok, Mozart, Haydn, Beethoven, all these things. But and it's this amazing art form, that I still am attached to. So I have like a string quartet live album, and I try to,
yeah,
that these kind of sounds because the texture of the string quartet is amazing. But I think playing in a band is different. It's a different joyous experience because the energy is so high. I
yeah.
mean, it's obviously louder. Yeah, and you have to amplify your violin. It's a compromise of the acoustic tone, but it's got its benefits because it has so much energy,
Yeah, yeah.
playing in the band. So I think they're very different. I enjoy both, honestly. I just played with the UGA symphony,
Excellent.
like a student symphony, and it was great. It was like a
That's awesome.
90-piece orchestra. It was insane.
Wow. And you were talking about plugging in your violin, and I think the handful of videos that I've seen of you, it's an acoustic that you've got a pickup attached to, right?
Yeah, so I used to have I don't have it down here. I used to have an acoustic with a pickup attached, like a Eric Aceto
Mm.
Ithaca strings
Okay.
pickup,
Yeah, yeah.
piezo. And then and then I recently got a Realist 5 string.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you familiar with these things?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
5 string. Great. I love it. So
Okay.
it's basically it plugs in the pickup somewhere in there,
Oh,
you know,
cool.
and it's a part of the violin. Yeah, it's a Realist. I got it from the guy David Gage.
Nice, 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 nice. I've seen
Yeah,
some of those realist instruments. I've never actually like held one in my hands, but I know that their electronics are just stellar, stellar
yeah.
stuff.
It's always going to be a compromise. It's not never going to be purely acoustic, you
Yeah.
know. You can put a mic on it. You can do that with the DPA mic, and you can kind of get a nice hybrid
Okay.
tone.
And talking about performing and all that, as far as like performance anxiety goes, do you have any tips for our viewers on, like how do you deal with performance anxiety?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that you should be the most prepared you can be so that you're not nervous. You
Practice,
should also
practice,
get used,
practice. Yeah.
yeah, and you should also get used to the fact that you're going to make mistakes, and that's just the nature of live music.
Yeah.
And like if you want to hear, I always treat my live performance as different than like studio recording, because studio
Mhm.
recording is like pretty much have to be perfect. You can't really be out of tune these days. But it's like what I'm saying is like you have to in a live setting, if they want to see perfection, they people will should just stay home and listen to the album. If they want to see human beings
Yeah.
going for it, expressing themselves through their instruments live in front of their eyes, that's what live music is about. So they're a lot more forgiving.
Yeah.
So it's totally fine to make mistakes. And the more fun you have, the more fun your audience, the more fun you look like you're having, the more fun your audience will actually have.
Nice,
I
nice.
think.
I am actually pretty curious about like your favorite performance. Is there any particular and
Hmm.
kind of early on, really? Like, is there like one particular performance that you remember? That was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I need to be doing. Was there that moment, or was it just kind of a slow burn this whole time?
I think it's been like a slow fire this
Yeah,
whole time.
yeah,
And it's kind of like, um, because I'm a believer that you do all these great things, or like you do big what people might be considered big things, but you have to do like a lot of them to
yeah.
sustain some kind of career. Like just one thing won't bring lots of people to your show. You do this thing, you do this thing, you do a TV thing, you do open for this band, and then a combination of that will help get people to your show. So to me, the biggest thing is when a lot of people show up at my shows.
Yeah.
You know, so like a couple of years ago, we did probably one of the biggest shows, the Warfield in
Okay.
San Francisco, and that was like 2,200 people.
Oh wow, holy
I mean,
cow,
that's a lot of people to show up just to buy tickets and show up for me.
that's
So
pretty cool, man. Holy cow,
just yeah, just to see like that kind of support is really uplifting.
that's
But
phenomenal.
then
Yeah.
like yeah, but then also like I started doing a bunch of orchestra shows, and these have been really amazing because I know the sound of the orchestra is just so beautiful, and it's like you don't have to know what that sounds like to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, it's probably their first time coming to a symphony and seeing my songs with this like symphonic sound was like I knew I was making these sounds for them, and it was
And it
really exciting.
really, yeah, no, it really is like a new sort of synthesis that you're introducing people to. Like the sort of indie rock Kishi Bashi sound plus that classical orchestral sound. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, I've always been a proponent of like especially like string music education and stuff like that, like just inspiring like young musicians to like either pick up a string instrument or to like continue playing or to be excited about
excellent.
classical textures. I think there's so much beautiful music out there.
Agreed. Agreed. Absolutely. All right, so I've got a couple other questions here for you. What is the most difficult career decision you've had to make?
Well, difficult career decisions. One was really tough when my daughter was 2 and I had a band. This is before Kishi Bashi. And I had a band, Jupiter One, and we were kind of signed to this label. And it was kind of like this last ditch push to like promote this album,
Mm-hmm.
in America. And we had these kind of tour lined up, and we had to leave. And my daughter was 2, and my wife at the time, she was also kind of in the band.
Yeah.
We had to leave her in Japan for like 2 months.
Oh, that's tough.
Most painful thing I'd ever done.
That's rough. You've toured with quite a few people. I'm a big fan of Montreal, and I know that you toured with them. I think in 2012.
Yeah, I did like a year with them. Yeah.
Yeah. What? I'm just real curious. What was that like?
It was incredible. They're just back then they were just a band of, I mean, just really great people who were just very creative and excited to be performing and touring, and yeah, it was a really fun time. A lot of partying.
Excellent. Yeah.
But it was also a very creative time because Kevin Barnes, who basically makes all the music
Yeah.
of Montreal. It's like it's pretty much him in his studio
Mm.
alone most of the time. he was very instrumental in pushing me to explore my violin sounds, to make new
Cool.
music, new sounds. And that's when I was just creating Kishi Bashi. I was like, I really I worked on one of his albums and they made him like a lot of wild violin sounds.
Hmm.
And so that was the time when I started pushing myself and realizing, oh, this is what I'm good at. Maybe I should, when I was looking for a sound for my own songs, I was like, maybe I should really do something that's based on what people hire me to do. You
Yeah.
know, my one thing, which is to play, to improvise on violin. That's like what my specialty.
Hmm.
Is my strongest foot forward. So he was kind of instrumental in helping me to gain confidence in that.
That's phenomenal. That's very cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You mentioned a little bit ago that you were doing stuff for TV, and I think I remember reading you've done. I want to say it was a soundtrack to a TV show.
Yeah, I did. So the Apple TV Plus, Apple TV, was it Apple Plus?
Apple TV Plus, I think. I think
I
we'll
think
go
it's
with that. It'll be fine.
whatever Ted Lasso's on.
It's
Anyways,
fine.
um, and Severance is on. I don't know if you watch Severance. I love that show, but
I keep getting told I need to see it.
it's really messed up. And so yeah, there's a kids TV show called Stillwater,
Okay.
which that was my big COVID job.
Ah, the COVID project. Yes.
Well, I mean, I was hired as a job.
Oh, gotcha. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was I co-composed it with a friend of mine, Toby Chu,
Okay.
and so it's really great. It's like a kids show that teaches mindfulness. Like,
Wow.
what is
Cool.
techniques to kids, and it's an animated show. It's really great.
Wow, that sounds awesome. Shoot. Would you do another TV show?
No, not at the moment, but
No, fair enough.
I'm finishing the documentary I've been working on. So I'm still
Oh,
on that.
yes, the documentary. I would love to talk about that. Can you tell me a bit about your documentary?
Yeah, so it's called Omoyari, and we premiered at South by Southwest this last March, and we got bought by
Excellent.
a
Phenomenal.
major studio. I can't tell you what it is, but it'll be on
It's all
a
right.
major platform next year.
That's
We're
exciting.
re-editing, but there's a studio, there's executives, so we're re-editing the movie to their
Wow.
liking.
I see.
Yeah, and making it better, honestly.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, that's good news. That's good news.
yeah. So they're grilling us on the story and just all these things, and but yeah, so basically it's around my making of the album, and also the symphonic piece that I composed, and then and also minority identity and like World War II history about like Japanese internment,
Hmm.
how that's relevant to like immigration today and stuff like that. So
Interesting.
it's a 90-minute documentary that covers a lot of stuff, but
Wow.
on music.
Is there a tentative release date?
So we're gonna hit the festival season again next year.
Cool. Perfect.
It'll probably late next year.
Okay. All right. I'll look out for it. I'm excited. I'm
Yeah, it's
looking
called
forward to
Omoyari.
seeing that. All right. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me here. This has been tremendously interesting, tremendously fun for me. Kishi Bashi, thank you so much. Where can folks find more about you? Where can folks buy your records?
Yeah, just kishibashi.com. Got a European tour, November.
Excellent.
I'll have some stuff there.
That's pretty cool, man. When are you coming back to the States after that?
It's the entire month. I roll right through Thanksgiving out there.
Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me, man. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I will talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. See ya.
See ya.
Good talking.